This is a big one. Okay, let's try to find you the right gear. All right, welcome back. My name is Emory, and I'm going to help you try and find the right gear for the type of backpacking you're doing. And I'm not going to mention brands because that's just basically pointless at this point in the game. So if you are out there and you're trying to decide what kind of backpacking gear you need, the specific kind, and you're just now getting into backpacking, hopefully this video will help you. And as we go, leave comments in the description, or not the description, in the well, where you leave comments at, and we can kind of start a conversation. So let's get this thing going. Finding the right backpacking gear is it's so personal. It's really hard to do, and it's hard to kind of get someone going in the right direction on the exact kind of gear because I don't backpack the way you backpack. So I recently wrote an article about this, and I thought I'd go through it with you and just talk about how to go about finding the right gear. Before you go into a backcountry store, like a backpacking store or REI or whatever it might be, just know that, and this is my personal opinion, there's a ton of gear out there. And the reason why there's a ton of gear out there is because there's a ton of people doing those things. So if you see like a bunch of different types of backpacks and stoves, these things were designed by people that are trying to find a solution to the problem, right? And so there's a design team that goes into it, and this person has a specific style. So this person likes this type of backpack, or this person likes this kind of stove, and then they create the solution and they sell it to you, and they're like, this stove is gonna change your life and it's amazing, or this shoe is gonna change your life and it's amazing. But that could be true, but it might not be true. It depends on if your style matches that designer's style. So if you believe in the same things they do, then it's most likely going to work for you. But let's say if you are a ultralight type of guy or gal, and someone sells you a piece of gear that is not ultralight, then you're not gonna like it, right? That makes sense. So before you go into a store, make sure you understand that every gear has a designer, and that designer is creating that piece of gear for his or her personal system. And this is, again, like kind of like an overarching idea. Just know that there's a lot of different designs out there. Before we start pulling gear off the shelves, let's identify what kind of adventure you're trying to go on. And again, this is for people that are brand new trying to sort out what gear to purchase. We need to identify the type of thing you're doing. So what's the location? And I'm reading the article literally right here. Where are you going? The time of year, the style that you're looking for, and why you're going, right? As far as location goes, are you in the mountains? Do you want to be next to a lake? Do you want to be next to a river? Are you in the desert? These things go into how your gear is going to be set up. Time of year, is it winter or is it spring or is it rainy or is it really cold or is it really hot? Again, this helps you further define the type of gear you're looking for. You're clearly not going to bring a winter camping set for summer desert camping. So make sure you know the type of gear that you're going. And by the way, most people try and be like, well, I want a sleeping bag that does all 4 seasons and it's gonna be great because I'm gonna do snow camping and I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. And most likely that's not true. I personally don't like snow camping, at least not right now. The majority of my backpacking happens during the summer, so I tailor my gear towards summer. I mean, really, that's when most people go backpacking. Unless you know for sure that you're going to be backpacking in the snow, in the winter, you know, maybe summer backpacking is what you need to aim at. But moving on, style. What kind of style of backpacking do you want to do? Do you want to hike all day long and cover lots and lots of miles? Or do you want to go in and camp at a lake and fish, or do you want to go hunting? That kind of a thing. These things determine the type of gear that you're purchasing. So if you are hiking all day long, maybe you need to bring less gear and maybe a little bit lighter stuff that's less comfortable in camp and more comfortable on the trail. On the other side of that, if you are just hiking in a few miles to have a relaxing weekend at a lake, to do some fishing, maybe some swimming, Well, you're gonna wanna bring stuff that's more comfortable for camp and less comfortable on the trail. So maybe that means a little bit heavier things. So like a camp chair, that kind of stuff. All these things determine the type of gear you're looking for. And it helps you just when you go into that store, you're like, cool, you tell your representative, you're like, I'm looking to do this. And then they start narrowing you down into the right stuff. The more focused you can be, the better. If you can say, I like being alone, hiking all day, above the tree line and wildflowers, these things help. If you want to be like, well, I want to go backcountry hunting and I want to be above the tree line and I want to be glassing and I want to be doing this type of stuff, well, you're going to have a certain set of gear for that. Another thing to know is why you're going. So by this, I mean that why are you going out there in the first place? Are you going to like push yourself and like have a good time? Are you going for outdoor therapy? Are you going to for the reason of having fun with your friends? If so, you need to choose your gear accordingly. And by that, I mean choosing your trail accordingly and the environment. Some environments just aren't conducive for certain things. If you want to go out and have a relaxing time, you need to go and probably not go very far, find a lake during a nice time of year to where it's nice and easy. This all goes into trying to find the right kind of backpacking gear. So that means if you're just trying to go and have a relaxing time, you're not traveling a bunch of miles, you're wanting to be comfortable, and you're going during the summer. That cuts out winter camping, mountaineering, all of that stuff, which helps you find the right gear for the job. Let's go on. So how do you find this gear? Now that we know what kind of backpacking you're somewhat interested in, and might I say this, you don't have to know these things, but I'm going to assume that if you're watching this video, you've probably watched other videos on backpacking and you have an idea of what you want to do. Picture in your brain what you want to do. Close your eyes. What are you taking pictures of? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? And try and narrow the scope. So through hiking, hunting, day hiking, quick overnighter, do you want to be on a ridge somewhere? That kind of stuff all helps focus on where you're trying to go and what kind of gear you're trying to bring. A photography trip, you're going to bring a lot more photography gear. So you're going to want to bring things that are conducive for photography style backpacking. How do you find the gear? In no particular order except for the last one being specifically out in the last place. I start with Google. So I'll Google backpack hunting, through hiking, wildflower season, that kind of a thing, to try and see if there's any images that catch my eye on the type of backpacking that I think I want to do. So if for some reason, let's take for example, I don't snow camp, I don't winter camp as of right now, I'm interested in it, so I'm gonna Google images of winter backpacking in Washington, because that's where I'm from, right? I'm gonna look at images, and I'm gonna find an image that looks interesting to me, probably, click on the image, find out where it's from, go to the website, and if it's on a blog, I'll reach out to the blogger, or I'll find their Instagram page and I'll start a conversation. So, start with Google, look at images, find one, and go down that rabbit hole. Clearly, we're watching this on YouTube, is a great place to find information on how to do certain types of backpacking and what gear goes along with, say, winter camping or through hiking or mountaineering or whatever it might be. Find the person on YouTube, do your little Google search, find them on YouTube, go down that rabbit hole. People love, I know for me, I'm making these videos and I love when people interact, they ask me questions, I love helping them. So these people want to help you. Find the guy that does alpine backpacking, message him or her, and learn. Ask the questions. Hey, what's the type of gear that you bring? What's the type of backpack, the stove, what works better, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Instagram. Hashtag, whatever you're interested in, is gonna bring up a ton of images. You go to that person's account, you message them. Instagram's great for this. Direct messages are awesome. And you go from there. Look, and if you're just trying to like broad stroke it, you're like, Emory, I'm just interested in going backpacking. Hashtag backpacking, Google search backpacking. You can look at my website, you can look at other channels. There's all kinds of backpacking. And you're just first broad stroke, backpacking. Second broad stroke, types of backpacking. Through hiking, long distance, blah, 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 mountaineering, photography. painting. People go backpacking to go painting. They sit up shop on a vista and they sketch and they paint, and it's super great, right? So there's all kinds of backpacking out there. Start with a broad stroke, narrow it down, and it's okay if you don't know what exactly you're looking for. You're gonna get there, and at some point you just kind of have to go with it. So I would suggest summer backpacking trip, overnight, in a really beautiful area, maybe some wildflowers, a place to watch a sunset, and go for it. And you're gonna swap out gear over time. That's just how it goes. This is just a process. Moving on, Instagram, hashtags, follow the rabbit trail down, direct message the person. You know the drill. Last but not least, go to your local outdoor store and ask them for information on stuff. But I'm going to warn you that that's kind of a minefield of opinions. Outdoor stores are notorious for giving you like a bunch of different answers and not being super specific on what you need. I've played games, and I admit this. What I've done is I've gone to the same outdoor store time and time again, asking the same question to multiple sales associates. And what I found is that you get a ton of different opinions. It's like the smattering of opinions, and it's honestly very daunting and terrible. So before you go into that outdoor store, narrow down as much as you can the type of backpacking you want to do, so that when you go in there and you say, hey, sales guy, I'm going backpacking, I want to get into backpacking, I need, this is what I'm seeing, I want to go there, I want to do this, I want to be in the desert, I want to do this kind of thing. And then make sure that person, you ask, is there anyone in the store that has done this kind of thing in the past? Get on them, and then don't take their word for like gospel. What I would do is I would go to multiple outdoor stores or ask multiple sales associates over a period of time and see if you can kind of get some sort of like an average. So if someone's saying, hey, this stove is really great for that situation, and you see that a couple times, then you know that stove is probably a great piece of gear for what you're trying to do. Long story short, outdoor stores are great for like touching things and getting your hands on them and maybe buying them, but really you need to talk to people like myself and other YouTubers or other bloggers or people with podcasts on Instagram, people that are actually going out and doing that stuff, because you really don't know what the experience level is of these people. You can't tell if someone knows what they're talking about by just talking to them in the store. They might think they know what they're talking about, but they really don't, and you're just putting yourself at risk for getting the wrong information. So between Google, YouTube, Instagram, and your local outdoor store, you should be good to go, and you should be on your way to finding the right gear. Final thoughts. I'm not going to point you in the right direction on gear. I do have a thing on my website, a list of the type of gear that I would suggest based on like a summer backpacking trip if you want to start there, but you don't have to take my word for it. Again, that's my opinion based on the things I know and the research I've done, but there's a ton of resources out there for you to find out. Just do some looking around, find some pictures, and do your research before you pull the trigger on that. But I will say at some point you do have to pull the trigger, and that's okay. Buy it if it works, use it. If you don't like it, you can sell it for half off on Craigslist, put that money towards something else, and you pick up another item. I've done it tons of times. Every backpacker's done it. We're always looking for the next piece of gear that's gonna make our time in the backcountry better. And that's honestly part of the fun of it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'd love to have this discussion with other people, how they find gear, what tips them in one direction or the other. If you want to find out more about me, I have a website, byland.co. Links are in the description. We'll see you on the podcast or on Instagram. You can reach me there. Byland.co is the handle. Again, links in the description. If you're headed out, be safe. Backpacking is awesome. If you're headed out for the first time, take it easy, have fun, make sure it's a great time, and yeah, we'll see you next time.